All right, well, thank you for joining tonight's session, How to Get a Job in Software, with our speakers, Alp Tiritoglu, Nguyen-Phuong, Mugdha Mhatre, and Alka Jarvis. My name is Carrie Williams. I'm the Communications and Information Officer in the Marketing Department. I'm lucky to be joined by my two colleagues, Jim Kosteka. Jim is the Program Manager for the Engineering and Technology Department. He knows all things software assurance quality. And then we also have Jennifer Pittman with us. Jennifer is the Assistant Director of our Marketing Department, and she wears many, many hats. Okay, so we'll just take a quick look at the agenda so you have a sense of what to expect tonight. We're planning on about 45 minutes for presentations. And then at that point, we're eager to open up those last 15 minutes for your questions. With that, we have set aside a few minutes after each individual presentation. So if you have any specific questions to that material, do feel free to either put them in the chat, or you're welcome, of course, to voice them on your own. We do have a few housekeeping items before I hand things over to the speakers. If you're comfortable, we invite you to turn your cameras on. It's always nice for us to try to connect some names with faces. As I said, questions can go in the chat, but if you think of anything later, you can always email us at extension.edu, and someone will be in touch with you shortly. Finally, you may have heard we are recording tonight's session, so be sure to keep an eye out for that follow-up message in the coming days with a link to your recording. And we'll also have some links to follow-up courses as well that we think might be a nice complement. Okay, Alp, can you take us to the next slide? We'll do brief intros. Thank you. Okay, so Alp Tiritoglu, he is an instructor with our program. He is a principal at UILAB LLC with over 30 years of experience in user experience and user interface design. As I said, he's a trusted and valued instructor here. We feel very lucky to have him with us tonight. Nguyen-Phuong, he has managed teams, technology projects, and programs at Sun Microsystems, Symantec, and PG&E, as well as at other smaller organizations and startups. He's also an instructor with our software engineering and quality program. Okay, we also are lucky to have Alka Jarvis with us. Alka is a global software quality process performance excellence officer at Hitachi. She is a distinguished quality engineer and former senior director with Cisco Systems. In addition to her role as an instructor, she's also served as chair of the Software Engineering Quality Certificate Program since 2020. And then rounding out tonight's panel, we're fortunate to be joined by a former extension student, Mugdha Mhatre. Mugdha is a Silicon Valley-based freelancer. She's a UX, UI designer and graphic designer specializing in human-centered web and mobile interaction design, rapid prototyping, branding, and identity for small business, startups, and the nonprofit community. She's also a designer at Apple. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to our speakers. Alp, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Carrie, for that very kind introduction, and thanks for all of you joining us today. There is quite a bit to cover, and within this short time frame, we'll just focus on probably the most important things, and there is definitely much more than what we share today. So I want to talk about 6 key points, key strategies that might be impactful in this really intense software industry and job market as things change daily. So what are those things? And beyond the technical skills. So skills that make you a preferred candidate is definitely a collection of things that you need to consider. Becoming a Renaissance person, knowing more than just the immediate technical skills, and wide range of knowledge that you need to possess as things change again daily. And third one is the personal branding, how people actually perceive you and see you. Are you fully knowledgeable in the eye of others? And the fourth one is something that most people actually ignore, and they try to get into that rat race as like, I can be just like others. But maybe it's really important to think about the inner desires and match that with the potential job openings. Beyond soft skills and technical skills, who you know and what you know is equally important. So getting to know others and connecting with them gives you the power of networking. So we're going to touch that. And finally, touching typical interview process. maybe things that you need to keep in mind beyond the top 7 things to do in a job interview. So here it is, a list of skills that make you a preferred candidate. I'm not going to talk about every one of these. There is definitely more than what you see on the screen, but probably the most important 6 from my perspective are the communication skills, how you work in a team setting, your interpersonal skills, learning, and also most people don't think about this, unlearning, which gives you the capability and the skill set to adapt to different situations, problem-solving skills in your field, and strong work ethics. So when we talk about communication skills, there is typically what we emphasize is verbal skills and written skills. Verbal skills meaning how effectively you communicate verbally, and also if you're a really good listener, active listener or not. But beyond those 2 skills, as verbal and written, you also need to master nonverbal skills as well as visual communication skills. How effectively you give a presentation in front of others, are able to sell your ideas and put maybe a stack together to share what you are thinking and how effectively you relay your solutions. So definitely pay attention to nonverbal skills and also become a master in being able to present your ideas. That also becomes really handy in a job interview. So becoming a Renaissance person, what does that mean? I want to use an example to explain what we mean by becoming a Renaissance person. Of course, you can read what that means online, but I want to show an example how it applies in the user experience design field. So this is a poster that was put together by a German company, and it actually emphasizes the wealth of knowledge you need to have to become an effective user experience designer. So if we look at this particular slide, you'll see that in the red circle is what we call user experience design. It actually overlaps with a bunch of different fields extensively. And they would be all the way to software development, maybe audio engineering, marketing, and so forth. So if we dive in even further, at the top part of this poster, you'll see that industrial design, architecture, philosophy, and so forth, they are all partially part of user experience design. And naturally, at the top part, you see computer science heavily overlapping with user experience design, providing digital product solutions to users, and 2 parts of it, of course, is the implementation being the computer science, and on the other side, the human understanding, the human behavior, psychology, cognitive psychology, and communication, and all those other things. So when you look at this, you need to maybe put together and understand beyond my immediate expertise, what should be those areas that I need to also know. I need to develop the skills and have certain level of mastery. So when you go to the job market, you are not just a vertical knowledge expert, but you have a wide range of knowledge and emphasizing, of course, your vertical knowledge. Speaking about brand identity, your personal branding, and the definition of that is what people say about you when you are not in the room. Are you knowledgeable in your field? How effectively are you communicating? Do you have a good personality? Are you a positive person? If you face a difficult situation, how do you handle that? Are you somebody who's fun to be around? And all those, again, soft skills as a person. So your personal branding has a huge impact on if you're a preferred candidate or not. This is something that you need to really sit down and think about. who am I? What kind of image do I provide? So if we look at some of the attributes of that, there's only 8 here, but there's, again, more than what you see on the screen. These are maybe some of the top attributes that you may need to consider as, am I consistent in my performance? Where is my expertise? Who do I know? What's my network? The more people you know, the more maybe your value goes up. It's a very cliche. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And so maybe that's something that you need to consider and start networking with others. So this is, again, something that you need to sort of work on yourself as, what's my personal brand and what can I do about it? And there's plenty of material about this if you just Google it or reach other sources. What are the ways to improve your personal brand? This slide goes to matching your inner desire to what's available in the job market and matching the two. And if you work in a job that you're not happy with, that definitely reflects in your performance. So you want to make sure that you're going to match your inner desire with the type of jobs that you are seeking. And that definitely helps your career. So if you scan the QR code, it actually goes to this site that maybe you can take a look at and then get into understanding your inner desires and your personality type, which will help you maybe suggest some software, positions in the software industry that might be more in line with what you want to do. Like managing people potentially is one, or becoming a principal computer scientist would be another one, and a few other pathways. So definitely take a look at that. Networking, yes, it's really, really important. So many jobs are not publicized. The ones that are publicized, as you know, many people apply to those jobs because they're out there. And the way to get to know those jobs that are not advertised is to build a network of people that you can interact and information exchange, and also it provides a benchmark for yourself in the market. Where are you? What are the things that people do that maybe you don't know? What are the things that what are the skill sets that most of the time people possess? Maybe you also need to have. Typically, in any type of job situation, preferences go to personal connections. Hey, I have a friend who knows a friend, and so forth. Of course, that only gets you maybe to an interview, but even that is a huge advantage. And again, by networking, you become much more aware of your own skills and shortcomings. So what is a typical interview process? Some of you might have gone through this. What I share with you today is just a framework. That doesn't mean that everybody sort of executes the same way. And now, as time goes, most of the interviews start online. And if you become a preferred candidate down the road, they invite you to the office, and they get to know you in person. So the interview starts maybe with a resume being reviewed, your LinkedIn profile, and so forth, and then you have a short phone interview, classic questions by the HR department to see if you are actually qualified for an interview. It would take 45 to 60 minutes, maybe a potential presentation to whoever is the hiring manager in the organization. And then depending on the position, you might have offline or on-site coding practice. If you're a coder or maybe a project management role, they might give you a problem to solve. And if you're a designer or a front-end developer, maybe that's going to be an exercise on that. And then you share that with the team of people, and they give you an evaluation among themselves. And then if they like you, they call you for an interview with the functional team. Functional team being people from different departments that are going to be working with you. And if you are a really good candidate, then maybe somebody from the upper management would come and try to sell the position to you, so they don't want to lose you as a great candidate. And that follows up with a verbal offer and negotiation, and of course a written offer. So what are the do's and don'ts in a interview situation, or a potential connection with a company for a position? I'm not going to go through this entire list, but I want to emphasize a few of them. Definitely study the company that you're going to go interview with and know everything you can. Maybe they have a lawsuit. Maybe they have some kind of a very important piece of information that you may need to know. That's all the good, the bad, and the ugly stuff about the company. The more you know, the more you can engage in the conversations you're going to have during the interview process. Learn their products, and if you can, use them before you go. And I'm not going to talk about the go there early, dress up well and all that. I think you all know all those things. But one thing that I would emphasize is rehearsing your presentation multiple times to a point that you may not need to show anything. You can verbally actually communicate everything super clearly and in a flowing fashion, and be authentic and be yourself. So a few other things. If you're going to take a practice, a design exercise or a coding, take your time, think and codify, and focus on the solutions rather than trying to sell them how knowledgeable you are. And that's one of the pitfalls that people fall into. They try to show off how knowledgeable they are rather than focusing on the problems. And definitely be open and clear. And if you don't know, just share that. I don't know, and that goes a long way. That basically tells them that you're a humble, person, and admit that if you don't know something, you are able to communicate it. Ask questions that really matter. Don't ask questions that are cliche. And just be very clear about your questions and what kind of information is going to be important for you. And keep a log of your interviews. One of the things that I also suggest, go interview even if you know that you're not going to get the job, right? So what that does is, it gives you a practice. That practice is extremely important because you can use that in your next journey. So just to summarize, tell your story, who you are, what you can do for the company, and share those human values with them. That's going to make you a preferred candidate. And again, show the big ideas, not unique cases. Two things that I want to share about that. One is the book put together by Nancy Duarte. Again, the QR code. This resource is free. You can go to that website, and the book is shared openly. It's a phenomenal resource if you're going to give presentations and for interviews. It would be a great source. Another one that I would like to share is for those who have public speaking fear and not be able to actually do that, join the Toastmasters. It's a great organization. They are available in the Bay Area, in fact, across the whole US. It's a nonprofit organization that help you to become a better speaker. And take things one step at a time. It takes time to master all these skill sets and master the strategies that will make you a preferred candidate. Definitely find a mentor for yourself and work with that person or people, not just one. Develop your network and attend every possible event that will connect you with others. So those are the few things, and I'll be happy to take few questions.
So I have a question.
Sure.
What should I expect right out of college? While I'm trying to applying for all these jobs, all these companies, what should I be kind of expecting? Should I be expecting a ton of rejections because because I'm just out of college, or should I be or is it easy to get interviews at this time, or how is it what is it like?
So that's a great question. What should you be expecting? Right from the get-go, you should expect nothing but rejections. And to be able to turn the rejections into acceptance or calls for an interview, you need to understand why those rejections take place. And there are 2 or 3 different ways to do that. The first one is calling them. Hey, I got this rejection. It would be great if you can give me some pointers. What are the things that maybe I need to work on more? And that's kind of a cold call, and many companies may not necessarily answer that. But the ones that are going to answer you will provide you guidance. The second one is, again, networking and determining where you are in the job market. What are the skill sets that maybe are missing that you are not a preferred candidate? So it requires active effort to figure out what are those things that you need to do more or less. There is no easy way to determine why you keep all the rejections, and being persistent is extremely important. Just keep trying and understand what are those skills that they require. And definitely, I don't want to spend too much time on this question because we have other things, but definitely do not rely on the job descriptions exclusively. Most of the job descriptions look for a unicorn, like somebody who does everything. And there is a reason for that, because they are searching for somebody who could actually do everything. But they also know that that's not possible. So they want to get somebody who's close to that. And so be aware of that.
I see. Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, Alp, it looks like we have one question in the chat. Shirley's asking, I'd love to learn how to ask better questions for the interviewers. Any suggestions?
Yes, go online and Google what are the type of questions I should be asking in an interview. And you'll get a bunch of answers for that. In fact, also, like, that's a good place. ChatGPT is a great place to dig into that. And especially if you also mention what kind of company that you are going to interview, what are the type of questions, for example, I should ask in a company that develops healthcare devices, right? So context matters. Not general questions, but specific questions matter. And if you identify those in advance, they would be great. Also, in an interview, ask the questions that are relevant. So if the hiring manager shares things with you, ask him questions to clarify it. So that indicates that you're actually an active listener. You listen and respond to it. And that's what they are looking for if you're a good communicator.
Okay, looks like we have just a couple more. How to get into the job market after a career break?
Well, what kind of a break are we referring to? That's important. If it is a short amount of time, that's one thing. But if it's a very long amount of time, that's something else. And I don't have the full answer to that question, but one thing that I would suggest, start with nonprofit organizations. That's like getting your feet wet again and understanding what's going on. Another one is definitely, again, networking. Connecting with people who are active in the job market, going to events and polishing the skill sets that are current. I've seen quite a few people gave a huge break because of family, like raising kids and other things. And some of them were quite successful getting back into it, and some of them, they just gave up. Again, the point is, don't give up, and capture the new skills that are in demand. I think people who have experience with current knowledge is really the ones that are needed. So if I have somebody who doesn't have experience, but the current knowledge versus somebody who had experience in the past, they understand, like, have those soft skills, and now they come with the current knowledge, that you're going to be a preferred candidate.
Sure. For someone who's from a non-IT background, and there's also a career gap, they're self-taught, they're not having any luck with interview calls, would you suggest the nonprofit route again if they're asking how to get their first job?
No IT experience, their first job, and a career break. Yeah, definitely. There's quite a few organizations that would take you in a heartbeat if you offer your services, and that's going to be a stepping stone. There's a lot of places that they cannot pay you what corporate could, but it would give you a tremendous stepping stone as, like, here to some experience that you are gaining. Yeah.
Okay, let's take one more and then we'll move on to Manta. Carlos asks, I'm going to build a personal portfolio website. Are there any general types of projects I should highlight?
That's such a generic question. I would say I'm just going to respond to that with this cliche. Just put the strongest pieces in your portfolio. Your portfolio is as powerful and good as the weakest link in it. So don't put all the things that you've done, but the best things that you've done, and that will present it you well. If there is a small project or something that is kind of iffy, don't go by the numbers, go by the quality.
Hi, Magda. Do you want to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and your courses here at Extension?
Yes, definitely. And thank you for this opportunity, first of all. Hi, everyone. I am Mugdha Mhatre. I am here to share my story, and I feel after looking at those questions might be relevant for a bunch of you guys because I was initially a non-IT person. I started my journey as a graphic designer and visualizer 14 years ago, and I was in Mumbai and working with the big print media whole campaigning guys. So I was working with the catalogs and hoardings and banners, and then and also I dived into a social media advertising and started collaborating with IT to make beautiful websites which are easy to navigate. Back then, I had no clue what is a website or a software design or a UX field. But then I moved here in Bay Area, and suddenly I found surrounded with these all software designs and UX design, mobile applications, websites, and I find it those fascinating than print media. And I stumble upon our UCSC extension, user experience and web design certification program, and it might find cheesy and totally funny, but actually this course changed my life for good. I started as a UCSC, start learning as a basic coding, start exploring prototyping tools, and started dipping my toes into JavaScript and all open source languages. And I was so lucky to have incredible teachers and mentors who are not just only taught us the basics, but actually also encouraged to develop our own unique style and become better at what we were able to do. So this guidance actually gave me confidence, and I was able to begin with the user-centric design. And I learned user-centric design strategies, method, biases, and and that actually helped me to make beautiful, not just beautiful UI, but those UI actually were helping businesses and making user happy. So that definitely changed my life. But as soon as I finished my certification, I was facing a tough job market, just like what we are doing right now currently. But I had to wait for a month to get and land on a decent opportunity. But I was so hooked with the UX design and software design that I was not going to let waste my hard work and learning. So, meanwhile, I was doing interviews and everything. I started working on my small projects. I started teaching myself variety of prototyping tools, video editing. Even I started with SVG animations, which are those cool interaction animations. Like I started also dove into newsletters, podcasts about UX design, software designs, and books. I was just soaking up knowledge like a sponge. Although did I also started helping with the small startups. I came up, I actually went to them. I was like, I would like to just have an experience and expertise. That's how I started working with them. And in also I had a privilege to collaborate with bunch of NGOs where I was using my skill to contribute some meaningful causes. So after felt like an eternity, I actually joined GAP team later on. And almost for 4 years, I was working in Old Navy as a retail visual merchandising team, part of their team. And my role there was to create a virtual store environment where we can organize the database for all the virtual product. So through lots of research, lots of sleepless night and testing across all over US and Canada, as a team we were able to make huge improvements in design process and photography and all over like overall merchandising efficiency. And by fine tuning our tools and the resources we had, for we were able to speed up the production and the schedule for we were able to make a better schedule for print and digital virtual merchandising for across 1300 stores. And this all after that I landed in Apple, and currently I'm working with a lots of innovative people and brilliant minds of this era. I feel like these designers dream come true for me. So I would say that every single day what I am doing is I'm actually grabbing all this information I collected in as a student here in this school, UX extension, and applying that to my everyday work. And I still use all those important stuff, like principles and the foundation of those designing, the step by step of processes we have learned here. And that is very, very essential over this. Understanding the user needs, using step by step design process, and making simple but awesome UI as are my principle for every day, I would say. And this has been my compass in all ever changing software industry. And I guess for you guys, because I have been there, all the questions when you guys were asking, like I think Vanisha and Deepa, I saw your question and I was like, I feel you. I was there and I have been there. So I would just say this was the secret. If I wish somebody would have told me when I was there that don't afraid to make mistakes. Do as much as mistakes are possible, or and learn from others people's mistake. I would say the best part is you don't have to make your own. Learn from others, and your headache will be less, I guess. And yeah, keep learning, try new things, and keep challenging yourself. That's it. My story was. If you guys have more questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Magda. Any questions?
I have a question for Mugdha. If you were to start over again, going back, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years,
Mhm.
do you think you would go back to taking the your training at UCSC again?
Yes, definitely, without a heartbeat. It's like, yes, definitely. Because as I mentioned, initially, the the environment got there, like the mentor and the teacher were not just giving me the basic knowledge, they actually give us the approach how to deal with the problems and what kind of things we should focus on. And by and this was just a starting step, I would say. Nobody is here is gonna, like, I remember this sentence from Alp's class itself, like, every day we use, there are so many people are coming into this class, but nobody is going to open my brain, add the information and keep closing that brain. We have to go out. This is just gonna direct you, but you have to go and run that marathon after that. So definitely yes, my answer.
Yeah, I want to commend you for having the courage to go out in into the unknown. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
No, thank you. And again, it was not possible without all the mentors I had in UCSC. So cheers for them.
I also am an alum of UCSC Extension, actually, in project management, and I'm now teaching project management at UCSC. Believe it or not, yeah, it's been actually several decades for that matter, and things have changed. A lot of things have changed. Um, the principles have not changed, but some details have changed because our knowledge keeps moving on. All right. So today, I mean, following what Alp was covering regarding finding a job, I think it's also helpful to get our heads up a bit from the grindstone and looking a little bit further out beyond just the next job and doing the job, even doing a good job. What is it that we need to do to keep nurturing our career for decades to come and building it up and not actually stumble somewhere along the way? So I'm going to share with you 3 very important disciplines to actually maintain a healthy career. Not that it's automatic. Every journey is different, but there are a couple of principles. So let me share those 3 with you. All right. Thanks all. Can we move to the next slide? The 3 things I want to share with you are the things you need to have the discipline to keep developing for yourself. You can learn from somebody, you can practice, and you can demonstrate, and you can get help. Actually, you can get support, hopefully from your boss, from your own boss, or from some mentor. But ultimately, the performance is yours to perform, right? There are 3 things you need to perform. That's my simple message today. First of all, the technical performance, what you normally think is your job. Okay, if your job is as a designer, a UX design person, then it is about delivering a design. But beyond that, some of you may not be aware. Every job has a whole orthogonal dimension that's just as important and a lot of times not specified, which is the relationship. And that you need to perform that one too. It's part of the job. If you neglect that, you will not succeed. So I will talk a little bit about that. And then beyond the job, you need to perform to grow. Otherwise, your career will stagnate, and that's not a good thing to happen. All right. So next slide. What is technical performance? What does that entail? So technical performance, yes, if you can press forward, yeah, they will show up. So the first thing is typically what you think about when you take classes and you learn on your own. The first thing you learn is knowledge. And the knowledge gives you a perspective from people who know, who've been doing it, or experts and people with a lot of experience. They will explain to you what you need to do and do well so that the job gets done. So that's the knowledge. However, the knowledge is just the first step along the way. The second part is, can you do it? So you know what needs to be done. The next thing you need to learn is to practice so that you have the skills to actually do what you know now is important to do. All right. So that's the practice. And therefore, sometime in order to gain that experience, to gain the skills, you may need to volunteer somewhere, or to intern somewhere, or to get somebody to chaperone or mentor or champion you to do something, and that you can show. Okay. And then you need to keep sharpening your skills and practice some more so that you are more proficient. Yeah, you can do it, but how many projects can you do at once? That's one thing. How many can you do well? Okay, yeah, people do understand we are all humans. You know, out of 10 design you make, okay, probably 4 or 5 would be very, you know, something to talk about, and the other ones, okay, you can make do. I mean, it's acceptable. But as you become a better, you know, more famous designer, you better improve your batting average, for example, right? So that's proficiency. You need to ramp up your proficiency. Now, in the domain that I teach, of enterprise project management, software project management, especially enterprise style, then the kind of things a project manager needs to deal with. So knowledge, skills, and proficiency is about managing scope, managing schedule, managing budget, and managing quality. And of course, I'm not saying managing people. You need to lead them. People are not machines. And that's another set of skills altogether. But essentially, when you are paid to manage a project, they are expecting you to manage the scope, schedule, budget, and quality. You need to know that. That's the knowledge part. But you need to also practice to gain the skills, and practice more to have more proficiency at it. So that's technical performance. All right. Next slide. Beyond that, of course, so let me say, let's say you close your eyes and I tell you your job now is to lead an expedition into the jungle. Okay, going on a weekend exploration. All right, so you know how to do this. You know how to use a compass, you know how to navigate, you know how to recognize different, you know, the trees, and know where you are, and navigate and lead these people. You can know how to cook and survive in the jungle if somebody gets hurt. You know, you have all this knowledge and skills, and you lead these people. And lo and behold, if you turn around, people are too scared. They didn't follow you. You're alone in the jungle. Well, you're not leading any expedition there, right? So clearly, none of your work matters. When you think about it, it doesn't matter at all if the people aren't there, okay? So you need to know and nurture and sustain healthy working relationship. It's good to be friends, but definitely there's a work relationship involved, and you need to nurture that with all your stakeholders. Be sure to know who your stakeholders are, the people whose work depend on yours, or the people whose work and decisions yours will depend on. Those are your stakeholders. Know who they are and develop a healthy relationship with them. What are their expectations? What are the pressure they live under, right? You need to know all these things, and you need to work with them. And sometimes, by the way, and this is the reality of the workplace, the pressure of one stakeholder may be counter to the pressure of another one, and they depend on you. And now you need to choose, right? That happens also. All these things are part of work, believe it or not. So yeah, that's a dimension that sometimes you may say, I'm a designer, I'm a simple designer, don't ask me to make a judgment. Well, it is part of the job. They may not say so, but it is part of the job. By the time they do the review, they will look at it. Okay. Yeah, so remember that one. So second part of relationship. Now, in terms of enterprise project management, who are your stakeholders? I have this simple map. I'll please show the next step. Yeah, here it is. There are all these people. If you are the project manager, your job is not to do anybody's job. If you do it, you will fail at yours for sure. So you need to know who you need to deal with. Not all projects have all these stakeholders, but you need to know which stakeholders are part of your project, and you need to have that relationship with them. And sometimes you deal with them in a set, not one-on-one, but you do want to develop the one-on-one relationship with everybody for that matter. It does take time. That's something to cultivate. That's the second part of the job performance, which is the relationship performance. Now, let's say you do that well and you do that for a number of years. Do you want to stay at that job forever? Some people love that, actually. And then a good thing about keeping in the same job for a long time is you become better and better at it, and people depend more on you. Okay, there is a story where Warren Buffett talked to his pilot. How long have you been my pilot? And he said 25 years. And Warren Buffett said, I'm so very, very sorry that happened. I overlooked this. This should not happen to any human being. I will help you get your next job. Okay, so that is how important it is. You know, as a living human being, I think somewhere normally you do want to keep moving on. Okay, now about moving on, the thing that people don't realize, next slide please, is that you need to grow. And when you grow, this is what happens. Your next job will not be the same job, meaning your next job will require skills you do not have now. That's the whole point. Otherwise, it's the same job. And for that matter, you do need to find an employer or a boss, if it's in the same company, who will believe in potentials, assessing not just what you do now and well or not well, but what is your potential, and give you the chance of proving yourself in this new job, right? It takes two, and you need to find that and grow into the new job. So this is a research that McKinsey and Company have done over I think close to a decade. I think half a million people in the U.S., you know, 250,000 people in Germany, 250,000 people in the UK, and 200,000 in India. They survey. It's a gigantic survey actually, and then they found out. This is what they found out, that the people who advance most in their career, they talk about human capital, and they talk about this. Your earning potential, in your lifetime earning potential, is you can grow from the day you start to the day you end, is 2/3 of what you can do. It's a lot. Yeah, and that represents more than half of what you own in your lifetime, what you create in your job. So, and the people who advance the most are the people who keep changing aggressively into jobs where they need to grow, meaning into jobs they don't have all the qualifications, and people give them a chance. And at the same time, they get a raise when they move into those jobs. So I just wanted to offer this. It's not for everybody's taste. I mean, you need to be fairly bossy. And as Alp said, get used to getting rejection. You know, give me a job that I don't have all the experience for, and I will be paid more. I mean, mostly people will say no. There you go. But if you don't ask, you won't get. But get used to asking it, because then you would move into this growth performance for your career. So that's the third part of what I like to offer to you. So learn to be good at your job functionally, learn to be good at your job from a relationship point of view, and learn to grow in your career. My three cornerstone for you. All right, thank you. And lastly, now I want to give you two plugs. One plug a little bit closer to the date, but a little bit outside. This is a free Zoom meeting, 1 hour on Thursday, and it's free. You can go online, you can see there. 3 mentors, I'm part of this mentoring club, and 3 mentors will talk about will ChatGPT replace mentors? There you go, okay. Will ChatGPT replace designers or software engineer? Here, mentors are going to talk about, will ChatGPT replace mentors, and you get to hear from mentors themselves. All right, so that's one. And the other plug is starting next Tuesday, that's the next slide, I will be teaching the managing software projects course. It's for 5 weeks, 3 hours each Tuesday, 6:30 to 9:30. You can still sign up. It's a remote live online class, 5 weeks. You will learn a lot. It's hard, but I'm not there to fail you. I'm there to help you learn. All right. Any questions?
I can just say that I feel this is so relevant because when I saw the slides, I was doing the same thing, but I was not aware I was doing the same thing. So definitely this is helpful.
Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, we are humans. So the thing about humans is this, right? A lot of things we do in life, we are unconsciously competent. Okay, we can make do. Yeah, definitely. And that's how we do things. But when the stakes are a little bit higher, you need to be better. Then you learn something and you say, oh, damn, I didn't do it so well. Okay. And then you fumble. Yeah, that's called conscious incompetence. You have to go through that valley of death, right? Conscious incompetence. And then you learn and learn, and then you become better and better. Now you are you have conscious competence, right? Everything goes through that kind of cycle, and yeah, just a little comment there. Oh, absolutely.
Phuong, there's a question about the event.
And it's fun. It's a short hour. It's smack in the middle of the day, unfortunately, but it's a short hour. There are three, actually four, not three, four. Yeah, Anaga is a product manager at Microsoft, and Kevin is an expert in technology and data. Manny has a stealth startup in AI and data-centric startup. Mo is a marketing executive, and he's practicing using ChatGPT and wondering, whether as a mentor he can measure up to ChatGPT. So I think they will have fun things to share, and you can ask them questions.
Thank you, Hong. Any other questions for any of our speakers or Alka tonight? I know we're just about at time.
So organizations where you can find jobs are listed. So the thing is this, by the way, one thing that Alp said, which is absolutely true, in so many ways, actually, most jobs, believe it or not, most jobs before they are posted, they are not posted. They are the hidden job market. I was hiring myself, and I was panicking. Believe it or not, my project was falling behind, and people were asking me, yeah, somebody left, I had to replace that person. And before HR was going to post that job and all these things, I was looking frantically, right? If you talk to me at that moment, well, I would be so glad to hire you. That's for sure. And that's true with every job and every manager, I can tell you. The other thing is, I've also been offered jobs that were not posted. In fact, without a resume, without a job description, they talked to me, I talked to them. Yeah, okay, we think you can do it. That's what they said. I said, okay, well, if you think so, okay. So, and then, yeah, and then of course they asked for a resume so that we can send to HR, and then HR logged it in, and then I got the job. That happens much more than you think. Understand this, before they are written down and posted, they are unwritten. Every job, by definition, every single job. Remember that one. Then you know why Alf said what he said. You have to look for the hidden job market. Just talk to them. And in fact, by talking to people, you know what is needed. You know before it's needed. Yeah. It's also only helpful. It can only help. That's what I can say. Now, of course, there are companies hire a lot of the mentors in the mentoring club. I do know this. The mentors are connected themselves. They can have you talk to other people who can tell you about what is required when they have a job, and when a job shows up, you'd be the first person to be talking to those people, right? So that's really where it's at. So, but there are other organizations. The mentoring club is a good one. There are others. It's not that they have a job for you, but that's the linkage to jobs.
Any other questions tonight? Do our speakers want to add anything else before we wrap up?
Well, I would like to thank Alp, Hong, and also the UCSC Extension staff, without whom we wouldn't have been able to put this wonderful session. But of course, our attendees. As you know, from time to time, we do try to put this kind of webinars, if you call it webinar, so that you, the students, or you, the potential students, will be able to look at our certificates that we are offering and be tempted to try what our earlier student had said. So with that, I would say make it a great evening. It would be easier for me to say have a great evening. But as Hong and Alp has already emphasized, there's no such thing that will be handed to you. You have to work at it. So please make it a great evening, and thank you, everyone.
Yes, and can I just share one last slide so you have a sense of what's coming up for our instructors at our campus? This spring and just next week, we have courses with Alka and Hong starting. And when we send the recording, we'll be sure to send a link to those courses with clicks to enroll. And then if you want to look further down into the summer, we also have some exciting courses starting in June and July. So plenty of opportunities to connect. We look forward to seeing you. As I said, we did record tonight's session, so we're just going to polish things up and we'll have that out to you in the coming days with these links. But as Alka said, thank you so much for joining us, and big thanks to our speakers, Alka, Alp, Hong, and Mugdha. So grateful for your insights and perspective. Any questions that come to you, we didn't get to them tonight, you can always email us at extension@ucsc.edu. And otherwise, we look forward to seeing you later this summer. Bye all.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good evening.